background. What's up, YouTube? Day for Zephyr Games, and we are bringing you Phil. Who's bringing his? Would you say budget?
Yeah, budget. If you remove some of the cards from the extra deck.
All right, okay.
I would have been able to fit this into the charity event we had last weekend.
Okay, so around 50 quid mark. So 50 quid Metalfoes deck. So I'll let him get straight on with that.
So, since it's a Metalfoes deck, triple gold driver.
Yep.
Standard, it's your 1 scale, level 4, so that's your rank 4 plays. Your next one is silvered, which is another 1 scale, mostly used for blowing up your other cards, along with all other Metalfoes pendulum effect. You blow 1 card face up, set 1 Metalfoes card, straightforward. Then that is it for your 1 scales from the Metalfoes. Next on is going up to your scale 8.
Yeah, scale 8.
So 2 Bismugears. So this one is the only effect Metalfoes monster out of the main deck. So the monster effect of this one is, if this card gets destroyed, at the end of the turn you can add 1 Metalfoes monster to hand. So it works quite nicely with, you can blow it up with another Metalfoes pendulum monster, get its effect, and at the end of the turn be able to add another monster to hand. Going on to that is triple Volflame. So this is a level 7, so rank 7 plays. It's also your 8 scale, but most of the time you want it either on the field or in your extra deck ready to pendulum out, so you can go into your rank 8s. Bismugear is probably your best one to sit in the scales once you've actually set up. Next on is triple Steelen, which is just another 8 scale. It's there just for the fusions. So that is it for the Metalfoes monsters. I play a sort of a slightly different variation of Metalfoes, so I don't really like how zoos play, so I don't have that in there. So to start off with most current decks, 2 maxis, because you need the card draw. Next on is your Rescue Rabbit. So it being a pendulum deck, you'd be able to normal summon Rescue Rabbit, use its effect to bring out 2 pendulums, which then you can go into fusions and your XYZ plays. The next one is your Master and Luster. So these are your Draco Slayers. So these are for your Draco face-off targets. Also, if you want to go into Ignister or use the Luster's effect to blow up one of your other pendulum scale to add 1 to hand, which also works off nicely with the Bismugear effect. So for the opposite side of that, you have your 2 vectors, which is your Draco Overlords, which is the other half of the Draco face-off target. Next up is one of my favourite cards in this deck, which is 2 Box of Friends. So Box of Friends is, I'd say, an oldish card coming up now, which has a very lovely effect. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon 2 normal monsters with either 0 attack or 0 defense from your deck. So from the Metalfoes monsters, you've only got 1 target, which is your Steelen, but that's why you play with the Draco Slayers and Draco Lords, because all of them have 0 defense. So it's a very nice target to blow up with your Metalfoes pendulum scale effect, set Steelen and Vector or Master, and set Fusion straight off, which is a 2-card combo to go straight into cards like Alcahest or Mithrilium. Going on to that is 1 Ghost Ogre. So hand trap, it's kind of there just to stop plays happening. I only really run 1 because I've tried running at 2, and it kind of slows down the deck a little bit. And the next up is 2 Dragon Pits. I'm still waiting on getting them, annoyingly, because it works very nicely with this deck. The reason why I've got the Magicians in there is because they are Dragon Pit and Dragon Pulse are 1 scales and 8 scales, which works perfectly with all the other Metalfoes. So that brings on to the other one, which is the 2 Dragon Pulses, which you can pull out using Pendulum Call. So that is it for the monsters. There's quite a few different engines that are actually in there, but with all the spells and traps that are in this deck, it does work quite nicely. So going on to the spells. So first of all, Emergency Teleport. since all the Metalfoes are psychic, you get to special summon one straight from the deck. Most of the time you will blow it up using your own pendulum effects, so you won't need to worry about the banish effect. The next card is Unexpected Die, which allows you to special summon one normal monster straight from your deck if it's level 4 or lower. So this just brings out more power of special summoning from the deck rather than having to rely on your pendulum summon first turn to flood your board. The next one is Summoner's Art. So your viable targets for this is Volflame and I believe it's Dragon Pulse is the level 7. So this just allows you to add a pendulum scale to hand so you can carry on doing combos. Next one is Painful Decision. So this just adds another pendulum monster, well, normal monster from your deck. You do have to send one to graveyard, but with Mithrilium's effect you can bring it back to the deck quite easily. Next up is One for One. So this is in here because Box of Friends is a level 1, so you can discard any monster. Say if you had that and another Box of Friends in hand, you can discard the Box of Friends to special summon out a Box of Friends, still leaving you with your normal summon, and you'll be able to go into your plays to go into, say, Mithrilium or Alcahest first turn quite quickly. Next is the Pendulum Call. So this allows you to add the Dragon Pit and Dragon Pulse to hand. You have to discard one, but you'll be, as I said, you can bring back Metalfoes back from the graveyard quite easily. Next is your Draco Face-Off. So this is being able to summon and add one of the Draco Slayer and Draco Lord monsters from your deck. So this is just another mechanic to special summon more monsters to the field. Now you have your 2 full Metalfoes fusions. So this is the quick play fusion for Metalfoes. You can set it with your Pendulum Scale effect. It's very nice if you're trying to sort of stall your opponent by, you can start, if you manage to get into Alcahest first turn, and you have another Metalfoes on the field or in your hand, you can then go straight into another Alcahest, so you can double steal during their turn, which can completely slow down some decks. And lastly for the spells is your Metalfoes Fusion. So it's straight up, you can fuse with it and use its effect from grave, which allows you to add it to deck and draw 1 card. So this is perfect fodder for Pendulum Call. So you can use Pendulum Call, send it to the grave, use its effect, add it back to deck and draw 1 card, and still have a 1 to 8 scale in hand. So now going on to the traps. For personal preference, I only run 2 counters, just because there is so much special summoning from the deck that this deck can do. So having 3 it can be a stall. It does mean there's more targets for your Metalfoes effect to go off, which I have found sometimes I've run out of targets, but that's purely either I've misplayed or I've done too bigger a chain in 1 turn. So Metalfoes counter allows you to special summon 1 monster from the deck if one of your cards gets destroyed, which yet again synergizes with the Metalfoes Pendulum Scale effect. The next card is Metalfoes Combination. I only run 1 of these because I very rarely actually get to use its first effect, which allows you to special summon 1 Metalfoes monster, which is lower than a fusion that you've fusioned with that turn. So it's quite a nice effect if you've got it on the field and you go into, say, a level 8 Metalfoes monster and you get to special summon Volflame or Mithrilium back from the graveyard. But its second effect is what I mainly use for it, which is if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get to add 1 Metalfoes monster to hand. So it's just another card to fill up your hand with Metalfoes monsters. Nextly is Solemn Warning. So Solemn Warning, it's sort of a staple to any deck. It can stop quite a lot of plays and completely mess up your opponent's turn, which leaves them open for you to play your next turn and hopefully beat them over in that turn. And the lastly is Vanity's Emptiness. So this one stops you and your opponent both from special summoning, but you're not too worried about it because you can blow it up yourself if you require special summoning. So you can sort of build up your first turn, and then as soon as it goes your opponent's turn, activate it so they can't special summon. Comes your turn, you can blow it up, and since you've blown it up, you can then set one of your cards again to restart the chain. So this is my take on the Metalfoes deck. I'm not very keen on teching in all the cards that everyone runs, so like Kirin and Magispector Raccoon. Hence why I've got Box of Friends, I've got the Magicians. It can, when it goes off, it can go off quite bigly.
Horrendous.
Not even a word.
Quite bigly.
But so that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, this is where you can remove some of the cards if you want to make it budget.
To be fair, the main deck's not that expensive. Apart from
No.
the maxis, you're probably looking at about 20, 25 quid maybe.
Yeah, for the charity event, I was able to fit pretty much the majority of what you've just seen, apart from maybe the Vanity's Emptiness and the maxis.
Yeah.
It's like the box of Friends. It's from the Number Hunters set. I think it's like £2.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is pretty cheap. This is where the extra deck becomes fairly expensive. So, to start off with, you have 2 Utopias. So I run it at 2 just because there's so many level 4s that are actually in this deck, and I can easily get into 2 Utopias first turn, or if they have like a Regeki or some card in hand to negate the first one, I can go straight into a second, which sometimes throws off opponents. Which, of course, with having 2 Utopias, there's also 2 Lightnings.
Yep, there's the money.
So just them 4 cards alone do altogether cost a fair bit. You can remove these. I was playing this variation of the deck before I had these, and was still doing fairly well at local tournaments. So that is your rank 4 plays. Going into your rank 7 plays, you have Big Eye. So your targets for bringing out Big Eye is Volflame and Dragon Pulse. So essentially, you detach one, steal one of their monsters. It's a very nice card if you can force them to use one of their negate effects on something else, and you can get to steal one of their big creatures. It's a very nice card. I sometimes bring it out, but most of the time I want to use the level 7s for fusions. So the next level, rank 7, is Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. So this is a very nice card. Every time your opponent activates the effect, after that effect resolves, they take 500 points of damage. So cards like decks like Zoos, where they have a lot of combos that goes off and a lot of effects that activate, this makes them have to think about what they want to do, otherwise they'll burn themselves out. So it's a very nice card to bring up first turn if you're able to, and then watch them try and get rid of it before they try and do any of their plays, which can also still do a fair amount of damage for them to be able to bring out a card to get rid of it. So going on to the Synchros, you have 1 Ignista. So the way you get this out is using Lost the Pendulum and any other level 4. So as I said, there's so many level 4 targets in here that it's quite easy to bring out. So now going on to the Metalfoes fusions. So there is 2 Alcahests. That's purely because it's fairly easy to get out with being the majority of the deck being pendulums, and its effect is really nice. So you get to steal one of their effect monsters and equip it to discard, and it gains defense equal to the original attack of that card. So say if you have Vanity's Emptiness on the field and you've got Alcahest out, they use their normal summon, you can steal it, at which point they've got no monsters to actually play with, unless they are able to get rid of the Vanity's Emptiness. The next one is 2 Mithriliums. So this is a very nice card. You can target 2 Metalfoes cards in your graveyard, return to deck, and then bounce 1 card on the field. So you can target any card, even your own cards. So if you've misplayed and you've run out of things to do, you can bounce one of your scales back to hand to reactivate it to use its effect again, to sort of maybe activate counters or clear up some board space. But equally, you can also target any of their cards which are causing you a nuisance. So like you could target Vanities and return it back to hand. So you can then carry on special summoning. And then this is where sort of personal preference comes in, is 2 Metalfoes Orichalk, I think that's how you pronounce it. So this monster does double pierce into any defense position monster. I quite like it because if they bring out a monster in defense position and they haven't been able to use it during their turn, this is a very good card to go into because you can deal quite a lot of damage very quickly, at which point you only need to sort of either stall for a little bit or you can finish them off with one other card, depending on what your opponent's got down. The only problem is with this one, it requires 2 Metalfoes monsters, whereas all the other fusions currently only require 1 Metalfoes and 1 other Pendulum. So I don't go into it that often. It being a level 8, you can add rank 8s if you wanted to, but it's so hard to get actually 2 of them out on the field without having to sacrifice getting other important cards out that I haven't included any. And lastly, 1 Crimsonite, purely because it's a 3k beat stick, and all it requires is one Metalfoes monster and 2 monsters with 3,000 or less attack, which also works off quite nicely because you can use the monsters equipped to Alcahest as fusion targets. So you can use, if you have 2 Alcahests on the field, you can steal 2 monsters and then fuse straight into him using 1 Alcahest and both of those monsters. So I very rarely bring them out because most of the time I go into Utopias or Red Eyes Flare, so I sort of go into the XYZ, so most of my pendulums go to the graveyard. But he's nice to have in there just because he's a beat stick. So that's it.
Sweet. So that's kind of like as pure as you can probably get. I mean, without the Magispector engine, which is relatively cheap now. I think the Raccoons are like $5 each, and the Kieran's only a couple of quid. But you know, the second Kieran gets banned, you're not going to be want to be playing Raccoon. The Magicians do seem like a nice little touch into it, and like Phil has said, if you want to make this really, really cheap, you take out the Maxis. Keep holding your vanities. I mean, they're only about £4, but you you take out your Maxis, take out your Lightnings, and straight away that frees you up with 4 extra spaces. I mean, Mithrilliums and Alkists are only about £8 or so each at this moment in time. Everything else is insanely cheap to pick up, so you could easily make this deck for maybe £30 or less just by taking out Lightnings and Maxis. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, happy dueling. If you like that video, why not check out our other videos available? We've got more deck profiles, pack openings, and of course duels. And don't forget to click on the most important button of all, that subscribe button right in the bottom left hand corner.